So, what you mentioned .NET, is that the language that you specialize in?
Yeah, so I had a bit of a change in my career, well, my programming career, should I say?
Uh-huh.
So I did old .NET, like
Hmm.
back, ASP.NET Web Forms, before like .NET was cool. Well, it's not really that cool, but it is cooler now than it was.
Yeah.
And then I sort of moved more into mobile development. So I learned
Ah,
Objective C.
okay.
I bought my first Mac, and all of
Yay.
that happened for a long time.
Yeah.
I am both a Mac and a PC user.
Yeah.
I have a Mac Mini now.
Cool.
But so I learned Objective C. I did a lot of mobile work. I used a platform called Accelerator Titanium.
Hey, yes. I use that too.
Yeah, love
Yeah.
it. Great.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Hmm.
I then did move on to React Native because that was the cool kid on the block but Accelerator was Titanium is still amazing. And it was way ahead of anything. The best thing that Accelerator did on that platform, well, Titanium moved to Accelerator, didn't it? Or it got bought, or I can't remember because there's the open source.
There's the open
source version,
Yeah.
and then it's now Axway, isn't it? I think
Axway,
it's a completely different product. But yeah, so I did that, and that was the first. I think personally, that was the first proper cross-platform that worked properly, right? Because
Yeah.
we had PhoneGap, didn't
Yeah.
we?
Yeah.
And that was not a good way. That was not a good. It didn't have the native feel, did it? It wasn't compiled down to native. It was just a website wrapped in an app.
That's
and
right. Yeah.
You could feel it. And it gave cross-platform development a really bad name. And I can remember the back and forwards trying to convince people that it was like a hybrid approach where it was built down to native. And so I used that. I did a few projects in that, really enjoyed that. And the good part of what I'd already learned is I'd already learned like mobile iOS provisioning, deploying to the App Store is quite possibly one of the most complicated parts of iOS app development, right?
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Before we had Fastlane and all of that sort of stuff to accelerate things.
Yeah.
So I did a few cross-platform apps in that, and then we moved on to React Native because one of my clients wanted it done in React Native. So from that, I actually learned React like the wrong way, not the usual way. It's like web down to mobile, but I went mobile back up to web. So I did that, and I did. Yeah, I've always done a little bit of PHP here and there. There's still, in my opinion, no good CMS for .NET. So Drupal and WordPress, I've done quite a few Drupal WordPress projects over the years because they're just great content management systems. And they're extensible, they're open source, all of those good things. So now, now I primarily do so through one of my contracts and my roles that I did. I moved more back into .NET and Azure now that Microsoft has moved to this service-based business where they're gone from licensing. They're like, right, we're going to give you MySQL cloud hosted, managed, and you don't have to do anything about it. That's their world now, and a lot of our clients for that were like local government and bigger businesses. So one thing that I really learned in those environments was that they didn't want the ops overhead of managing infrastructure, right? Okay. So if you can say to an ops team in a larger corporation, just add me to your Azure tenant, and everything's managed by Microsoft, and blah blah blah. So Apptimise is .NET and Azure. But one of the big sort of areas that I've done a lot of work in recently is the Power Platform. So Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power BI, and in those sorts of areas. So cool. These completely, SaaS solutions for problems, that like very little bespoke development, more consultancy, more configuration. But again, I still do a load of bespoke application development work. That's the core of what we do. But more and more businesses are moving to that. Cool. It's not like I'm not saying that bespoke application development is dead. There's low code and no code solutions are great, but they don't fit every single niche and every single
and they can only go so far, right?
Correct. Yeah. And I think one of the good ways for freelancers and consultants that Microsoft position their products is they're not really good enough. They require people to come in and configure them, right? And they do a lot out of the box, but they're still, like for instance with Power BI, which is a way to visualize data from different data sources. You can write custom visualizations, you can theme it, you can, out of the box it looks mediocre at best, and it's like a self-service tool, so a non-technical person should be able to use it. A lot of people call it like the PowerPoint for data visualization, so you can drag on tables and things like that. Now in a bespoke world, visualizing tables worth of data is trivial, like as in it's grab it from the database and then render it out however you want to, but these systems allow people to self-serve their own reports. So finance people use it, finance departments use it to visualize their Excel spreadsheets, for instance. So they don't change their own business processes.
No. Now,
in a bespoke world, we'd say, okay, we'll build you a system. You upload your Excel spreadsheets and I will visualize them out on the front end for you. But again, that requires IT, doesn't it? That requires infrastructure team and all of that sort of stuff. So these teams that want these pieces of software now look to these like solution, these software based systems. And sometimes it doesn't need to look perfect. So the default Power BI out of the box is absolutely fine for them. So it's, so I live in like this bespoke, but also like this software, sales world as well, where it's just but less development work and more configuration of the platform.
Sure.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing this for in Apptimise?
So Apptimise is just over a year old now. I still do loads of bespoke application development. Like all the people that I've worked with before know me for my mobile app development and my .NET, bespoke app development. So I still do tons of that. Apptimise is more of an evolution of me, really. To make it more of a real business and its own identity, not just me.
Gotcha. Yeah.
To turn it into something that is bigger than just me, because I've been a freelancer, by myself for a long time. And one thing I've really learned is I like having people around me. So it would be really nice to have a niche technology consultancy. Like, we're not talking this big, integrated agency that does marketing and social and all of those things. Just a bunch of nerds working on really cool projects, for cool clients. And that's what we all want. Right.
Sounds
and so I think that's it for me. But a lot of clients won't just hire a freelancer. So it has to be this, this entity that is not just one person, right? Because a lot of people are worried about, what if Sam goes away? What if Sam gets hit by a bus? That's a concern for these sorts of people. So,
yeah, definitely agree with that.